So the birth of my heroin addiction, how it started. So I got a story for y'all. It's a hard one to listen to. One of the most common questions I get asked all the time: how did my addiction start? What started my addictions? So there's only one addiction that started from a particular event, particular happening. The rest of them was kind of reckless and just carelessness and ego and all those other things. But my heroin addiction was the one that started from a particular traumatic experience. And I have to say this before I tell the exact story, that I don't tell this story that often on the internet, because it does involve other people and it is kind of graphic and it involves a death. This is how it happened. So the birth of my heroin addiction, how it started. Now, I had just got out of prison from serving about 1.5 years. And before that, I was a cocaine addict, alcoholic, ecstasy. I was the party man, but I was an addict. I was in denial, but I was an addict. I get out of prison. First day I get drunk, popping Xans, my least favorite addiction, my least favorite drug of all time, popping Xans, being an idiot again. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. So I made a good decision, actually. I packed all my bags and I moved to Arizona. Now I'm staying with my aunt, and I'm not gonna lie, bro, I could not do the broke college kid thing. I was out there, I was used to hustling, I was used to trapping, I was used to being able to commit crime, to get cash, to get high, to party, and I could not do that out there. I could not move around, and I was itching to get back to Alaska, back to Anchorage. And my chance came when my favorite uncle passed. My cousin bought me a one-way ticket, boom. And I had no intentions of going back to college. That's why I was in Arizona going to college. So I get back to Anchorage. Within a couple weeks, bro, boom, I catch another felony charge. And now I'm sitting there, sitting on house arrest, talking to the lawyer, trying to fight this case. And he's not telling me what I want to hear. You know, I'm thinking I'm going to beat it because I really didn't think I did anything wrong. It was a fluke of a charge, but he's not telling me what I want to hear. So I'm like, okay, I got something for you. So I have court in about 10 days, and I pack up all my stuff at my ex's house, and I'm planning on going on a run. So I go get a hotel for about a week, and I'm over there and I'm getting high. This is an everyday thing. This ain't nothing. This is an everyday thing. I'm getting high, playing with my nose, drinking. Cool. That's nothing. One of my good friends comes over, and one of my good friends named Taco comes over, and he was my get high partner. We got high together. Nothing out of the ordinary, just getting high, getting drunk. Nothing out of the ordinary, bro. This is an everyday thing. And there's a gun in the room. Now, this is also nothing out of the ordinary. This is literally how I was living my life. And this is what I want to get through to kids, right? This was nothing. The risk factor, the awareness, gone out the window. As the night goes on, we're getting more fucked up, getting more drunk, getting more high, and he starts to play with the gun, waving it around belligerently. I'm not thinking anything of it. And we're listening to music, right? We're sitting here listening to music, rapping to music. He's waving the gun around, and by pure freak accident, just straight up accident, he gets it up too close to his head and accidentally pulls the trigger, and he accidentally shot himself in the head. And so I end up going to the interrogation room because I was the only person in the room there. It was just me and him, nobody else. And I'm in the interrogation room, and the police are doing their thing, they're interrogating me. And very first question I asked them is if he passed or not. And they said, so I'm breaking down crying. I'm crying my eyes out. This is one of my best friends. He was one of my very first friends. I grew up in a trailer park. He grew up 2 trailers down. At 6 years old, I've known him since then. And so they're interrogating me. I'm going through it because they don't want to believe me. I'm trying to tell them the truth, this and that. About 20 hours of interrogation room. I'm starving, going through it, cried my eyes out. I knew eventually they were going to let me go, because I knew for the very first time dealing with the police, I knew for the very first time in my life that I could just tell the truth and the truth would set me free. I knew in this particular instance that I had done nothing wrong. I knew it. I could have been better. I could have maybe took it from him, said something to him, anything. I could have did better, but I know that I didn't do nothing wrong. And the person that I was then, I was unaware that there was anything bad that could happen. It never crossed my mind. 100 times out of 100 times in that same scenario, I would have never did anything different. And that's just the truth of it. And so 20 hours of interrogation, they finally, bro, They finally send me back, take all my clothes. Now I'm in a jail jumpsuit because that's all they had there. They take all my clothes to do their little forensic stuff. They send me back to my ex house, and I just knew. My first thought was, I need to get high, bro. Drunk, high, something. I had no money. I knew I needed to get high or drunk to take my mind off this. Well, the only thing about it was the only drug that I had on me that I could get my hands on at the time was heroin, because I was selling it at the time. And so that was the only drug that I could get my hands on. And I remember telling myself this. I literally broke out some tinfoil and did it like the people, and just did it the same way that I seen other people that I used to sell it to do it. Got a straw, did it. And I remember nodding out and waking up 30 minutes later and thinking like, damn, I wasn't as traumatized, and I wasn't as worried. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't going through it like I was before. And I remember telling myself this. I said, shit, I'll use this for 2 months and then I'll just quit. I won't do it no more. And unfortunately, with that opiate, with the heroin, it just don't work like that. I ended up using heroin every day for the next 2 years. Then I went to jail for a year.
You're famous, right?
No, I won't say famous, but I got a lot of followers. So, went to prison for 1 year, got out, relapsed in a week, and went back to using every day for the next 2.5 years until I went back to prison, and that's where I actually made my change. But that is how my heroin addiction actually started. It started from the worst day and the most traumatizing day of my life, where I lost one of my good friends. What's going on, man?
Got watch, bro.
I mean, a little something.
The hard way learning.
I got it. What's going on, man? What's happening, bro?
Good, bro.
It's all good.
TikTok,
I got a lot of followers, man. It's all love, man. It's all good. And it's all love, man. You know what? Yeah, you too. But that was how, obviously, that was the worst day of my life. And like I said before, I don't tell the story that often because Jose Cortez Taco, he actually has family. So I'll tell it in person to kids and to schools when I'm talking. I'll tell it there. But when you tell it on the internet, you can't control where it goes, how it's interpreted, and it just is what it is. So I don't always tell the story on the internet, but I have before. But obviously the condolences to their family. But it's just one of those situations. It's a tough situation because he has family. He was a good friend of mine. He has a bunch of friends, which we have the same friends, and I was the only person there. So I understand, but I understand. It's just one of those stories I just don't tell any that often online because I just want to respect the family and respect his name, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm clout chasing off a situation where somebody actually lost their life. But it was obviously the turning point. I was 23 at that time, and from that singular time, since that day, at age 23, every single day, every hour, every minute of the next 9 years spent either high on heroin, meth, or in prison. Every single day of the next 9 years, I was either locked up or addicted to drugs. So that's how my heroin addiction started.